So Alexander, we've been familiar for about a half a year, and I've been reading your books, and I haven't really read too much from other authors about the meaning of life. How is your approach to the meaning of life different than other authors or philosophers who are writing on this subject?
Yeah, thank you for asking this question, because I think people who watch my clips probably would also think, what is different between what I'm saying and what are other people saying, because there is a lot of information about meaning of life and about purpose of life. So what is new? The first thing which I would say is that it is definitely different from other ideas about meaning of life, that I express the purpose of life in final terms. What it means in final terms. And what are those other approaches? Just two examples. One very good discussed approach is to say that the purpose of life is happiness. You come to this world for like 100 years, for some short interval, and this 100 years or whatever is left, either you will be happy or you will be unhappy. So obviously it is much better to be happy. So the purpose of life is happiness, and then could go discussion then for happiness. You will need, something from other people and so on and so forth. So, and by the way, yeah, so what is wrong with this approach? The purpose of life is happiness. The problem is that it does not give you any direction whatsoever. Because I said about this somewhere else, because people pursue happiness not only in different ways, but they pursue happiness in opposite ways. In opposite ways. The simplest example is example of person who pursues American dream, and the person who goes to a Buddhist monastery. There are opposite things. To be engaged in contemporary American society and to completely reject it. To go to completely different world with different aims and so on and so forth. So when you say purpose of life is happiness, it sounds reasonable or whatever, but no direction. Or another example. The purpose of life is to make world better. It is good. Sounds great, but no direction whatsoever. Again, the person who went to monastery, maybe he does not care about world at large, right? But if he wants to become a spiritual teacher, and so he would say that the best way to make world better is to people to come to ideas of Buddhism and it will decrease suffering and everything, more war, peace. So the approach of person who wants to become a spiritual teacher in direction of Buddhism will be very different from approach a person who fights against nuclear weapons, right? Directly. That person would be involved in American politics, blah, 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 blah. So again, when you say to make world better, unfortunately, no direction whatsoever. So it looks like you gave an answer. What I say about the purpose of life is expressed in final terms. I say that the purpose of every human being's life is to decrease chances of ultimate catastrophe, and ultimate catastrophe is kind of complete death. Everybody is dead. So to use my approach, you need just to understand difference between a live human being and dead, right? So this is one, maybe this is the biggest difference between my approach and approach of other people. Did I give any feeling like?
I think so. And so when you mean final terms, what do you mean by final terms?
Final terms, I mean, when I say the purpose, it is to decrease chances of ultimate catastrophe.
And the ultimate catastrophe is
the ultimate catastrophe is defined in final terms, which terms don't need any explanation. This is there is another problem. You could say, what is connection between my small life of an actress or a writer or somebody? What is connection between my life and ultimate catastrophe? This needs explanation, of course, but the final formula to decrease chances of final catastrophe, and then explanation, final catastrophe is everybody dead. It isn't fine. You don't need further explanation. When you say the purpose is happiness, you don't give direction. I give kind of, you could say, Alexander, you give direction, but it's difficult direction. We need to figure out what is connection between my actions and ultimate catastrophe. That's right. But at least the formula is in final terms, right?
I see. Yes. It's quite a big idea.